You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
Hello, welcome to the Middle Age Movie Reviews Podcast. Three guys asking, if time travel were possible, what would you do? What would you change? My name is Tim, and my podcasting partners are...
Matt.
Joey.
All right, Joey, why don't you tell us what we're watching at the Hill Valley Town Cinema this evening?
Tonight we are watching the 2024 movie Back to the Future 4, number 1001.1 from the book of 1001 movies you should watch before you die. Written by Robert Zemeckis, Steven Spielberg, and David Agnew. Directed by Robert Zemeckis and starring Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Elizabeth Shue, and McKenna Grace.
Well, thanks, Joey. You know what, guys? The first time I saw this film was just this week on Tubi for this podcast. To think that this movie didn't get a big release. How about you, Tim? When was the first time you saw Back to the Future 4?
I, too, watched it this week for the podcast. I can't believe this movie did not get a theatrical release. It went straight to streaming. I remember seeing Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox at the conventions back in 2023 doing guest panels and signing autographs, but there was never any mention of the movie coming out. And then I remember, because of the Writers Guild strike, movies could only be made that had completed scripts, and the actors weren't allowed to talk about the current projects at all. So it appears that Universal Studios didn't want to wait to do a proper media blitz because, Christopher Lloyd's, what is he, 84? And Fox is already pretty reluctant, to do anything, and really was reluctant to agree to do this film due to his Parkinson's disease. So I guess they went with a non-promotional tour of Fox and Lloyd, hoping people would figure it out and then cut a lucrative streaming deal to maximize on the hype. So yeah, I'm glad at least it made it out. So it was pretty cool. How about you, Joey? When was the first time you watched Back to the Future 4?
Well, clearly I saw it on Tubi. It was a Tubi exclusive. I mean, it's, Seinfeld used to have in comedians in cars drinking coffee on Crackle, and now Tubi's got mother friggin' Back to the Future 4, and I'm just like, what? I was like, is this a fever dream? Is this like the time that I fell asleep on the couch and I woke up and that new Highlander movie, direct to sci-fi, was on? I was just like, I didn't even believe this shit was happening until I saw it. And I gotta say, I'm upset because it just seems so strange to put Michael J. Fox's face and voice on another actor, kind of like, a very much better version of Little Man with Marlon Wayans, or the way they took Chris Evans and put his head on that skinny guy's body in the Captain America: The First Avenger. It was just like there was something uncanny valley about it, and it's like I could barely finish the movie. I was very, very taken out of it, and I realized that he needs the money because our healthcare system's fucked. And he's got dual citizenship in Canada, so I don't know why he's not just getting all of his medical needs fulfilled in Canada. But he did the movie.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you gotta do that film for medical reasons. So that's
Medicare for all.
Okay, Tim. Well, as our resident puppet master,
well, Matt,
what are you going to lay down for us?
I don't think there's any other way this can be done. All right, but tonight, Matt, I think I'm going to give you a break, and we're going to put Joey Emmet Brown, tell him Marty that it isn't over Joey, yet. I would like you one more adventure to read the synopsis as an aged Dr. Emmet Brown. Tell him Marty that it isn't over yet. There is one more adventure waiting for them.
Great Scott, Marty! Your time-traveling days aren't over yet. There's a mysterious game afoot, and some unknown force that's destabilizing the space-time continuum as we know it. I'm afraid I'm too old to time travel myself anymore, Marty, but my granddaughter JJ knows all about it and can assist you in fixing the time anomalies before reality itself collapses. This will push you further than any adventure we've shared. It may very well be life-altering, and in turn change your view of me and my family. who I had sex with this teacher from the past who a bridge was named after because she died. And I only hope you can push past it in order to save us all in time.
Nice.
Very well done.
Back to the Future 4. I don't know about you all, but I was surprised when this came out because I'm a big time travel fan. I mean, I like Back to the Future, the first 3 movies. I enjoy, the 1960s TV series Time Tunnel as well as Doctor Who. So anytime we see Marty McFly and Doc Brown, I am excited to see it. So let's go ahead and dive into our film. So the movie opens up. It's 2025, and Marty McFly is living a quiet life in Hill Valley. His kids have all grown up, and he hasn't touched time travel since the DeLorean was destroyed in 1985 on the tracks of the bridge over Eastwood Ravine. So, guys, what do you think of? Joey's already mentioned about the kind of weird AI stuff they did to him. But what did you think of Michael J. Fox reprising his role as old Marty McFly?
Simply, I don't think there is a movie without Michael J. Fox, or really without Christopher Lloyd. Even though they've not had another installment of this franchise outside the cartoon since 1990, the 2 main characters have aged considerably, and I don't think you could recast these characters to successfully recreate the chemistry they had on screen. I know they used some CG in the film to age the characters during certain segments and to, kind of help, with Michael J. Fox with some of the issues he deals with the Parkinson's. But I think they really did take meticulous care to create the absolute best version of those actors that they could for the film. And it worked out fairly well. I wasn't taken out like Joey was as much because of it.
I do have to agree with you. I think that this movie wouldn't be a great movie without Michael J. Fox or Christopher Lloyd. I'm glad that they did get a chance to reprise their roles. I mean, I'm gonna kind of compare something with like Ghostbusters Afterlife. Afterlife had the original characters in it, but not nearly as much as I was kind of hoping for. Whereas with this movie, they definitely gave us more of the original characters. Definitely a much better way of handing off the baton to this new character that they introduced us to. So, Joey, what did you think of Michael J. Fox as old Marty?
They did make him look a little bit younger than he is. I thought I was kind of impressed with that. I think that was a little bit of makeup and CGI put together. I was more impressed with Elizabeth Shue. I mean, she looks like she just stepped up right off the set of The Boys. Where we had what's the guy's name? The Superman knockoff in The Boys?
Oh, Homelander.
Yeah, Homelander was milking those memories. She looks great.
All right, well, so much like the 1985 opening where, Michael J. Fox is riding that skateboard, we kind of get an homage to that scene. And what'd you guys think of that callback scene where like the random kids were using real life version hoverboards to grab onto Marty's car like Marty did back in 85? And I also thought it was rather funny that Marty hasn't bought a new car since 1985. He's still cruising around in that Toyota Tacoma. What about you, Joey? What did you think of that?
Well, it was kind of funny because we got the suck ass hoverboards that are basically, a Segway instead of being a real hoverboard. And it's just some shit you fall off with wheels. And we got to see that, like, obviously the timeline's changed. And here's the, quote, real hoverboards. I think they're going to get sued because the kids are going to find out real quick that you can't go that fast on a hoverboard holding onto a car. And it's going to be funnier than Mike Tyson video of him falling off a hoverboard.
Right.
Hopefully, no tragedy, just maybe a broken bone and a huge lawsuit.
How about you, Tim? What did you think of the truck and the hoverboards?
I don't know. I think it's a nice throwback to the original movies. I mean, I know they were cool as hell when I saw them in the movie, and we're all still waiting for them to come out to this day. But it's so iconic. I've even seen them attached to the side of like converted DeLoreans that they, people will make the full DeLorean Back to the Future prop, bring them to conventions and things like that. And they'll usually have one of those that they can kind of stick next to the car. It looks like it's hovering next to it. So, it's as iconic as the car itself, I think, at this point. And just just going to keep waiting. Hopefully it comes out before I'm dead and I can still stand in one and don't need a walker while I'm hovering. And I don't know, to answer your second question, as far as Marty's truck goes, I mean, that was one sharp looking Toyota back in the day, and especially considering that Toyota wasn't exactly known for making the coolest trucks back in the 80s. I mean, they just weren't. I mean, and hell, I guess I can't even talk. I'm still driving around a 2010 Nissan Xterra, but when you have something you love, and he really loved that truck. I mean, just really loved it. I mean, you're just going to drive it until it drops. I mean, that's just how it goes.
True. And I think the one thing he has going for him is he's in California, so he doesn't have to deal with all of the elements that we deal with in the Midwest. I mean, he doesn't have to worry about salt causing corrosion or rust on his vehicle. So that could probably help, keep it pretty well pristine.
Oh yeah, for sure. Those cars out west hold up way longer than they do here in the old rust melt.
Yeah. All right. So Doc Brown's now in his late 80s, and he's kind of retired from time traveling, and he's kind of living a secluded life in his lab just outside of Hill Valley. And of course, that's where we're introduced to his granddaughter, Jules J.J. Brown, played by, of course, I'm gonna reference Ghostbusters Afterlife again, and it's played by McKenna Grace, who we know as Egon's granddaughter. So I thought it was kind of neat that they introduced a brainy kid from the Ghostbusters and a brainy kid from basically the same damn girl. It's kind of funny.
It's also kind of weird because, I mean, you've got a similar situation with the young Latina woman. She's playing Wednesday.
Oh, yes.
And then they have, that's like a gothic type character played by Fivehead. What's her name?
Christina Ricci. Yeah.
And then you've got the other show that she's in Beetlejuice 2, where she's playing Klepto's role.
Winona Ryder.
Yeah, well, she's still playing her character, but she's playing Winona Ryder's daughter, and she's not quite as like
gothy.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. It's just like, how fucking creatively bankrupt is Hollywood?
Yeah.
And it's just more of the same shit. So I think her casting sucks ass.
Well, like I said, I think it is kind of neat. But, one of the last things is she's kind of following in the footsteps of her grandfather, much like she's following the footsteps of Egon, her grandfather in Ghostbusters, because she's kind of playing a rebellious college student studying quantum mechanics.
It reminded me of them having like Judge Harry's daughter be in Night Court.
Oh yes,
it's just, it reeks of that.
Yeah, Hollywood's definitely, or Hollywood television movies, they can't quite get an original idea anymore. They have to like go back to the well and just kind of tweak it a little bit. We already got Joey's opinion, but Tim, what did you think of McKenna Grace being both Egon's granddaughter and now Doc Brown's?
I don't really think it's an issue. I mean, do you kind of, like Joey said, you associate it as Hollywood kind of typecasting people a little bit because, hey, it worked here, so let's put it over there? Yes, they're doing that. Is it a good thing? No. But, I mean, she did two nerdy characters relatively close together. And I don't know. I think she crushed both the roles, without a doubt. I mean, she did excellent in both of them. So it's not like,
for the record, I don't blame the actress at all.
Well, right. I mean,
she's got to make her
money.
Payday.
It's a payday for sure. And it's not really going to hurt her. I mean, she's done quite a few movies. I mean, she has an extensive amount of television credits behind her. So, I mean, if she continues to do such roles, then yeah, sure, it's probably going to do some damage to her, and it's probably going to typecast her and get her into a rut. But you do it twice, I don't think she's in any danger of really being typecast. And again, she nailed it. So I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to accept it. And I'm just going to hope that she doesn't keep trying to do that character over and over again just to get a payday.
Well, they're doing the $6 billion man with Mark Wahlberg. Do you think they're going to have her be the Bionic Woman?
I think she might be a little too young for that.
Yeah. I think
by the time it comes out,
I think we'll be right back with Vertigo, where it's like, oh, she's way too young. So, I mean,
that's right. Lee Majors had a romance. Didn't they have like a romance? And then they had the TV movie where they had a kid.
Yes,
the Bionic kid.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's. hey, Mark Wahlberg looks young and Hollywood's gross. So
I don't think he looks all that young anymore. I mean, Don't get me wrong, that dude's still buff and everything, but
say hi to your mother for me.
Not young anymore. Definitely not.
Yeah,
he's not passing. He's not passing for 18. He's not passing for 28. He may not be passing for 38 anymore.
What do you guys think of Doc Brown's wardrobe? Do you think it's a little off that he was wearing the Back to the Future 2 coat when nothing else from the future seems to look like the present day? What do you think of that, Tim?
I don't know. I mean, let's face it. He's an eccentric old man. I mean, when you think of Doc Brown, you're not exactly associating him with GQ magazine or anything. I mean, he's odd and he's out of place. And but I think the charm of his character, that's the charm of his character. And I also think the amount of time that has passed since the first 3 movies were released, anything you could do to kind of visually tie the viewer back to those is only going to help sell the movie. I often feel that when a new movie is released after such a long time in a franchise like this, the set production crew doesn't do their due diligence in trying to recreate that same feel as the original because they're just so far removed, probably generationally, from these movies. And when it happens, more often than not, it just pulls you right out of the movie because it just doesn't feel like part of the story that you remember. So I think when you can do little things that's going to draw you back in and make it feel comfortable, it's going to make you accept it and buy into it even after such a long period of time.
Interesting thought. How about you, Joey? What did you think of the choice of Doc Brown's wardrobe?
I love that they brought the jacket back because that's like one of the few things I felt like make sense in this movie is that, when you find a jacket you like, you keep it. My dad's got jackets from the fucking 90s that we had to say, like, look, people aren't into teal anymore. I think you need to retire that jacket. And he's like, well, it's in good shape. I mean, I like it. And I was like, oh, yeah, but it looks like you bought it in 1995. So in this case, it's, it's from an alternate future that's we're past now. And Doc liked the fucking jacket. He went back to the Old West with it. He clearly kept it somewhere. Was he wearing it under his Old West clothes when he goes, back with Marty, or did he double back again and get it double back?
There you go.
And then he go get his jacket while, he's off raising his kids and building, steampunk trains and shit.
Nice. I'm gonna say I like your use of double back, the ZZ Top song from Back to the Future 3. And so let's take a look at some of the strange anomalies that begin occurring around Hill Valley. It seems to change Hill Valley like almost overnight. People start to disappear. Even Marty's memories are starting to shift, and he sees glimpses of alternate versions of himself, some much darker. It's kind of funny because this kind of reminds me a little bit of the Back to the Future video game that was available on the Xbox Live several years ago. These strange anomalies, like they start to occur. There's some weird stuff that's kind of happened. A lot of neat little CGI effects and some really cool special effects. But we get what looks like almost a dream sequence at first for Marty, having these weird flashbacks to a time when he was a famous rock star, almost like Elvis Presley, living in a high-rise hotel like Biff in Back to the Future 2, which, if I remember right, back in the 1990s, the Back to the Future cartoon, there was a whole sequence where Marty McFly of the future was like another Elvis Presley. What did you guys think of that whole dream sequence?
I really liked what they did with the memory shift, or basically the dream sequences. We get to see Marty, kind of the Marty that never was throughout alternate timelines. It's basically a reverse It's a Wonderful Life sequence. And instead of what life would be like without Marty, we get to see what life would be like with Marty had he chosen different paths throughout his life. So it's I don't know. I mean, a visiontage. I don't know what to call it, but if you will, but
nice.
It's going to make it's just going to make things it makes things kind of interesting. So yeah, visiontage. I'm going to go with that. It's a visiontage. It's not a montage. It's not the flipback montage. It's a visiontage.
So now I get this mental thought of Team America. Instead of singing, it's a montage, it's a visiontage.
It's a visiontage. You're dreaming through. Oh, yeah.
How about you, Joey? What did you think of this visiontage?
I was honestly looking down at my phone, and then I looked up, and I didn't understand what the fuck was going on. and I had to go back, and because there was an ad break, and that's when I started looking down at my phone, that I had to watch the ad break again because I went beyond. I went back, and then you could watch the fucking ads again, and I'm just like,
There's a reason there's those dots, okay?
I guess something had to pay for the fucking movie because they didn't put it in the theater. Not that I think anyone would have paid like $15, $20 to go see this.
Oh, they totally would have. Are you kidding?
Not me.
Okay, so it would have had a huge box office minus $15 for Joey.
That's correct. So yeah, it was confusing enough that I didn't know what the hell I was watching. It was Marty's Vision Quest is just I would have done it differently, but then again, I don't know how you would have done it correctly either.
You know what I did think was kind of neat though is they did manage to go back and grab Flea and throw him in one of the band sequences.
Yeah, they just had to do I saw a little behind the scenes on that where they just had to do the young person like skin mask, where like they put a different texture on him because he's in such good shape that like he doesn't walk like an old person and he's still like fit and everything. They just reskinned him.
So they went back into I know what you're talking about, one of those like almost see-through mask things.
No, like what they did with Robert Downey Jr. When they made him look young with the hologram flashback in one of the Marvel movies.
Oh, okay.
They literally take the texture map the actor with a younger actor's skin, and it makes him look younger.
Huh.
They did it
Interesting.
They did it in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with Kurt Russell.
Okay.
As you get older, your ears and your nose continue to grow. So when you look at young Kurt Russell, like it looks like young Kurt Russell, except like he has old Kurt Russell's like fucking nose size. So like it doesn't
Double
always
ears.
work. But it looked good with Fleet.
So see, folks, you can learn a lot about CGI right here on Man Review Podcast.
Yeah. And you'll be able to hear it really well because your ears keep getting bigger.
Yes. All right. Well, Marty wakes up and seems to be able to remember two different timelines, and he's a bit manic as he tries to talk to JJ about what he remembers and sees. What do you think of Michael's performance? Do you think that the script at this point really used his tics from his Parkinson's? Because he seemed, with his manicness, he seemed more like Doc Brown than Marty McFly.
I think they did a great job working with Michael J. Fox during this movie and kind of putting him in the best light possible. And this scene is no different. I think his ability to incorporate his tics that the Parkinson's is causing was kind of really, it was a brave and bold choice that I think really pays off in the end. It has to be a hell living with this disease. And just the fact that he's willing to perform this movie is a testament to his unwillingness to let it defeat him. So I thought he used what most people would consider to be a negative as a positive as part of the character. And I think it paid off well.
I didn't pick up on it because I think it was just the performance, because he opted for that new therapy, the deep brain stimulation. It's called DBS, and it's a treatment. It involves an implanted device that delivers an electric current directly to the areas of your brain. The current improves how well those parts work. It's most often used for conditions like Parkinson's and epilepsy, but researchers are investigating if it can help many other conditions too. So basically, you tase your brain through that permanent implant, and then you operate much better than medication can, for a limited amount of time, and then you basically go back to normal, where you have involuntary movement. So that's how they did it for the scenes where like he doesn't have a complete body double.
I wonder how often they could do that though to the human brain. It seems like that would have a major impact. Yeah,
it's really scary, and CNN did a whole thing on it, and in that special, like Michael J. Fox has not had it done yet, but the guy who's the anchor who is actually hosting the documentary did have it done, and then I guess like Michael decided to do it, but it's very risky and it's very expensive, so you got to do Back to the Future 4.
Huh. That's interesting. It sounds a little bit like that book Flowers for Algernon. I don't know if you guys ever read the book or saw the movie.
Not familiar at all.
Oh, okay. Basically, it's I don't want to go off on a tangent, but if you get a chance, check out the movie. It has Cliff Robertson in it, and it's really good. But yeah, similar principle with brain activity. So where were we? Yes. So JJ discovers that the time stream is destabilizing. Worse, the source of the disruptions appears to be Marty himself. So in order to learn about this destabilization, we get an interesting thing. JJ evidently creates these time goggles, and they look very like steampunky. It's a neat visual, but it seems a little too, I don't know, Deus Ex Machina for me. I mean, she just happens to invent a device that can view chronal energy. I don't know. It seems more like Doctor Who than Dr. Brown. What were you guys' thoughts on this device and how JJ explains Mari's, tie to these disturbances? And I'll throw it over to you first, Joey.
I'm sorry, I was gathering my thoughts. The documentary with Michael J. Fox is called Still, and it's from 2023, and it's on Netflix, which makes sense because. Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. I thought I saw it on CNN. Anyways, HBO was doing the Max thing with CNN, and then Still, I don't know. I thought I saw it on fucking CNN. I guess I didn't. So it was good. Watch Still.
Okay, well, I'll check that out.
And now for something completely unrelated.
Yeah, they reminded me of the goggles that you see like once and never again in Jurassic Park, where the kids like just looking through shit in the Jeep. Except those were like cooler. And I did not like the time goggles. I thought it was a very pathetic way to advance the story. It was lazy.
I think you have to give them a little bit of creative license whenever you're watching a sci-fi based movie. I mean, she's the granddaughter of Doc Brown, so she does have a leg up on the average quantum physicist. She's probably the only other person on Earth that even really knows that time travel is possible. So, I mean, could she create a set of goggles that could see, would you call it chronal energy? Sure, why not? I mean, it's in the steampunk look. It's a nice breakaway from the sleek sci-fi contraptions we usually get from Hollywood. The only other place I've seen that much steampunk was in that sci-fi series Warehouse 13, and I thought it was cool when I watched it there too. I thought they did a nice job with it. It was, it wasn't a total sci-fi show, but it was sci-fi enough, and it was kind of nice to see something that didn't have that slick Star Trek look to it, all futuristic and stuff. It had a familiar but yet unfamiliar way of taking, brass parts and leather and stuff and making it look futuristic. So I thought it was a neat way to kind of incorporate a cool sci-fi or, I guess steampunk, sci-fi look to this movie.
Gotcha.
And give it kind of a fresh perspective.
Gotcha.
Rick and Morty did it first, and they did it better. and Morty found out, which, by the way, if you don't know, Rick and Morty is based on Doc and Marty, which was a short that became Rick and Morty. They did it first, and Morty used the goggles to get to a version of the end of his life where the woman he loves is comforting him at his time of death. But he finds out that's she's just volunteering in hospice, and they didn't have a relationship at all. And he's just dying in her arms because it's her job. You didn't see that one, Tim?
I did see that one. It's kind of sad.
It's just sad. Off Rick and Morty. It's like it's like parody has become the canon.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I do want to say I did like the aesthetics of the goggles. I just didn't like the idea of the goggles. And honestly, I saw that and I thought merchandising.
Yeah, I mean, there may be something to that, but again, I mean, where do you go with this? I mean, what else do you use? You got to have something. You got to have something to tie this plot together. So it's as good as anything. Could have been better, sure, but again, they had to work with a script that was who knows what revision it was in. It was not a completely refined script. So the point when they're filming, they have to go with whatever they got, and maybe it would have changed dramatically. Maybe it wouldn't change at all. But I think considering what they had to work with, it still turned out all right.
Yeah.
I saw the goggles at Target, and it's a repaint of the Jurassic Park toy goggles. I mean, Mattel just said, fuck it. Let's just slap Back to the Future 4 on there. And
yeah, but they do that all the time.
Make a
We've seen that in a lot of toys where they'll take one intellectual properties toys and then just repaint it, reconfigure them, and then, now assign them to another intellectual property.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Kenner did it with was it Little John for the Kevin Costner's Robin Hood?
Yeah, they do it with the Ewok.
It was like
the
the
Ewok
fat guy
stuff.
from Return of the Jedi or something.
Yeah, well, they basically, I know they reuse the Ewok village, and they use the Ewok battle wagon, and they use both of those for the Robin Hood.
Now I remember
toys.
the big fat green pig monster. It was like the bottom half of him is like Little John, and that's why the Little John character looks like shit.
Nice. All right. So Marty and JJ track the anomaly to a hidden lab where they find an old, beat-up DeLorean, one that shouldn't exist. Inside is a cryptic recording from Doc warning them of a time fracture caused by some alternating events in 2045. So it's interesting that, everybody associates Back to the Future with the DeLorean, but for some odd reason, the DeLorean in this movie has been kind of mothballed for it. What do you guys think of them making the DeLorean have such a minor part in this film? And I think I'll throw it over to you first, Joey.
I think it was a missed opportunity for them to incorporate the Tesla Cybertruck. I think that should have been the one that shouldn't exist, because let's just face it, that vehicle shouldn't exist.
I think I might agree with you there, because the Cybertruck it's
ugly.
ugly. It is ugly.
They
But it
could
has
have at
that
least
same-
associated it with something that's positive.
It has that same look, though, as the DeLorean. It's still that stainless steel looking stuff. It
Yeah.
kind of has the
it's art
same
imitating life, imitating art.
the same cut to it and everything. So that would actually been a pretty brilliant choice. Plus, can you imagine the giant, stuff that you could put in the back of it to try to justify the new time machine, equipment that he's putting back there? We have what was that food processor they put in there? We're gonna have a giant one where you can put entire garbage cans of
The
trash in there now.
Mr. Fusion.
Yeah, the Mr. Fusion, but now instead of just dropping in a couple things, you can take a whole garbage can, just flip it up there and just suck it in.
Right. Okay, so the Tesla truck instead of the DeLorean. What about you, Tim? What do you think of them mothballing the DeLorean?
Real quick, it's Friar Tuck, by the way, that uses the pig body.
Okay.
From Star Wars. My bad.
All right.
And now for something completely different. It's interesting that we get to see DeLorean at all. From what I read, they were actually supposed to have used an updated version of DeLorean in the movie. And an FX company called Imaginarium Productions was contracted to create the new DeLorean. And I guess they were adding some of the last time travel components onto the back of the car when one of the welders kind of got careless and, they caught the car on fire. So at that point, it was almost 100% completed. And they were pretty much right up against production. There was very little time left for them to, before they needed to deliver it. And they tried to cover it up. They didn't want to tell anybody, and they started trying to rebuild the new one. And I think between trying to source a new DeLorean, because they're out there, but they're still not readily available. You can't just walk down to any car lot and find one. So
see, just another reason why they should have used the Cybertruck, because those been catching fire a lot these days.
There you go. But I think they were looking for something that was going to catch on
natural
fire.
Causes and unnatural causes.
Well, there you go. But I think because of the limited time, they couldn't find one. They weren't able to deliver it on time, so it ultimately caused them to have to close their doors. So I think the studio decided at that point to just take the scrap DeLorean and use it in this scene to at least have the car make a showing in the movie. And then they end up using more of a CG alternative time machine. And we'll see that they're gonna bring back the time train, which I guess if you have the DeLorean, there's the next most significant one we have is the time train.
Right. And it's probably a little easier to, well, CGI is CGI, but it was probably a little easier to have it. Cause I think the locomotive still is in like Volo, Illinois, or something like that. I know it's still in a museum somewhere, so they can always go back to that to get to do the CGI scanning of it with LiDAR and stuff.
Yeah, well, and probably they were like, look, we're already using some steampunk, stuff in the movie. Let's just go ahead and use the steampunk train. It would make more sense, I guess, at this point.
A nice melding of all three movies coming together. We discovered that the DeLorean is mothballed, and now Marty and JJ have to go in and do a little investigating. And of course, their investigation leads them to Griff Tannen, played by a de-aged Tom Wilson by CGI, Biff's grandson, who claims to have been approached by a man called the Riftmaster, offering him power in exchange for a mission to destroy Doc Brown's legacy. So I think this is where I feel as though the story kind of gets a little, I don't know, too many writers, too many cooks in the kitchen when they were coming up with the storyline, because it seems very mismatched through here, with this whole Riftmaster storyline and Griff showing up. What did you think, Tim? Do you think about this Riftmaster was, a character to bring in at this part of the movie to, like, I don't know, tie into Doc Brown's alternate timeline? I mean, they kind of keep this character in the shadows, and I don't know. I'm kind of second guessing myself as to who it was, but I mean, it might have been a good giveaway from the poster to show the Riftmaster. But what's your thoughts, Tim?
Well, I mean, let's face it. We all knew Biff or one of his relatives was going to be involved somehow, but I have to agree. This is right. I agree with Joe. The de-aged Tom Wilson, I thought that was not done as well. It kind of pulled me out a little bit. But getting past that, I do think the addition of the new shadowy villain was a nice twist in the overall story arc of the Back to the Future franchise. So it was well executed, and I agree with you, man. I didn't realize that it was an alternate timeline Doc Brown at all, and I definitely didn't see the whole evil Marty thing coming. So it was kind of refreshing. I mean, really, because they could have done so many worse things with this. So I thought it was really kind of an interesting way to change the direction of the movie, and he just didn't see it coming.
Joey, what did you think of the DH Tom Wilson and the whole time rift, or the Riftmaster?
I love Tom Wilson. I think he's very, very funny. I love his stand-up routine, which about questions that are getting old, but I'm sure that routine's getting old from him too. So I think he's great, but he didn't look right.
Right.
Yeah, he's put on a few pounds, and they should have went for a middle-aged Biff. Alternate 1985 Biff. He wouldn't need a whole lot of makeup, and I would have gone a whole other direction. I would have went with evil President Biff, and I would have done up the hair a little bit more. I would have gone with those memes and stuff, but again, it was just another missed opportunity. Let's de-age him instead of use his age, and they didn't do it. He's too old to play Griff.
They probably could have done something a little better with, like, putting his head on a younger person's body or something like that. Kind of like you said, Chris Evans and Captain America. All right, so Marty and JJ use a rebuilt time train to travel back to 2045, a cyberpunk future where time travel is outlawed and Hill Valley is under the corporate rule by Brown Tech, a company founded by our Riftmaster. So the Riftmaster outlaws time travel, but he still uses it to advance his business in the cyberpunk future. Typical evil genius. Everyone else has to follow the rules but me. He does have an interesting motive as to why he focuses the anomalies around Marty. I felt that they forgot about the part of the story until close to the end of the film, even when it felt like a forced wrap-up. Any thoughts on what you guys think of this of this possible future of 2045.
The Riftmaster outlawing time travel it's a handy movie trope to lean on to move the story along, and it's really not all that original. I mean, let's face it, countless movies use a not for thee, but all right for me plot device, but it's not the worst way to move us to the next act, kind of all things considered. I do wonder if the anomalies around Marty was part of a major rewrite of the scripts. If so, it may have been in an early version or revision state. Once it had been added, and again, due to the writer's strike, they couldn't fully, flesh it out into further revisions. So it's still an interesting twist to the story nonetheless. But yeah, I don't know. It gets us where we need to be, I guess, is what I'm saying. But could have been better. Could have been a lot worse.
Gotcha. How about you, Joey? What do you think about this whole story plot with the Riftmaster and outlawing time travel? Does it really kind of mesh well with everything?
It's a missed opportunity on so many levels. Number one, it was lazy that they did 2045. It's too close to like Blade Runner 2049. And then they should have brought back Eric Stoltz, and he should have been like an evil Marty. I don't like this alternate timeline Doc as the Riftmaster. I didn't buy it at all.
All right. Well, now we're kind of like in this darker timeline, and Doc's alternate self, now a cold and powerful businessman, is obsessed with controlling time to ensure that he never loses anything again. So evidently, this alternate timeline is where Clara still goes into the ravine after she's neglected by Emmet due to his time experiments. It seems like destiny won't let this alternate Doc Brown be happy. So I'll start off with you first, Joey. What did you think of Clara actually winding up back in that Eastwood ravine, and it's now the Brown ravine?
I'm just glad to see the mom from Step Brothers working again. I don't think I'd seen her in anything since Last Man on Earth.
I saw her in a episode of The Good Place. She shows up because
she guest starred.
Yeah, she shows up as like a short little guest actress. Her guest.
She's almost a guest star in this movie because she's not in it very long. Will she get 7 minutes?
Something like that, I think.
Yeah. The weirdest thing about her casting in Last Man on Earth was she went from playing Will Ferrell's mom to being having adult relations with him. You don't remember that?
I haven't seen.
Will Ferrell's barely in that show, but they're partners. And then the other guy, the lead character, the other guy named Will, shows up and scares him. And then Will Ferrell's character has a horrible heart attack and dies of fright. And then she's mourning him for the rest of the season.
Huh.
But she just played a few years before she played his mom.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
So how about you, Tim? What did you think of the death of Clara Brown?
Let's face it, having a character's love interest perish due to their lack of attention is the perfect catalyst to creating a supervillain. Apparently, even a character as lovable as Doc can succumb to the dark side. See what I did there? And become a mad scientist. See what I did there? Bent on world domination. Starting this movie, who would have ever seen this coming? I mean, at all. Lovable Doc Brown, super villain. So yeah, it was an interesting transformation for the Doc Brown that we all know and love from the first three movies.
I do have to quote Alan Moore in the Batman comic book. What was it? Lonely Place? Not a Lonely Place for Dying. The Last Laugh. And the Joker says, strange things can happen to someone from one bad day. And it's evidently true here. Doc Brown has one bad day and it changes the future forever.
Matt, just, we're not giving you any more points for Batman references.
All right. That's my last one. So JJ and Marty discovered that this alternate dock was created due
again,
to
I think they
a small
lost
change in
that new audience they're
2035
trying to capture.
when Clara
I mean,
unknowingly suffers from that fatal
believe it or
accident.
not, they're young
and
people.
I thought it was kind of neat to have
as
a
old as
callback to the Eastwood
25,
ravine,
and they've never
which is
seen
now
any of the Back to the Future
Brown
movies.
ravine.
They know what it is, but they've never seen them.
What did you think of that,
So
Tim?
I think,
mean,
like,
is it a nice
this
segue back
unfortunately,
to the
it's not
third
the Marvel
movie?
franchise where they keep releasing
All I can
something,
say
at
is
least
if
one
you find
thing
yourself
every
in Hill
year,
Valley,
and they have
stay
all
the
their content
hell
in one
away from that
place,
ravine.
so, like, you can
Nothing
go do
good
your
comes
homework,
from
so
it
to speak.
at all. But again, here
and
we
there's,
have a
like,
nice
whole generation of Gen Z
callback
kids who,
tie-in
like,
to
they
the
don't
other
even know
movies
Marvel comics,
with
but they
Clayton
know all the Marvel
Ravine, then
movies.
Eastwood Ravine, and now back to the
We don't
original
have that
character
here.
namesake,
And so I think
only this time
I
as
think
the
that got
Brown
lost
Ravine.
on
So,
most of the people watching.
again, I like as many
I don't know,
tiebacks as
though.
we can get.
I mean,
for
do you
this,
think they made this
fourth
movie
installment
for
to
the next
first
generation,
three,
or
to
did they make it
try
for the
to
original
give it that
generation that
comfort,
enjoyed the first three?
and
I think if they wanted
consistency
to,
with the franchise,
made it
so
for nobody.
it was a nice touch.
No,
How
how
tried
about
to
you,
make
Joe?
it for
Do you think this
everybody,
was a
and they
nice
made it
touch
for
to
nobody.
kind of call back I know who they made this
third
for. Movie. They made this for the Benjamins.
Nah. Yeah, there was a little of that involved all the way around.
Let's go ahead and move along then. So the only way to fix time is to undo that event, but doing so means possibly fracturing the timeline even further, as it also brings two time machines crashing into one another. So Clara was in the time train running away from Doc Brown and shows up in 2035 just as a younger version of Marty from 1885 comes screaming across the bridge and colliding with the train in 2035 from a 1985 DeLorean. If I understood that correctly, because Marty was wearing a cowboy hat and the Clint Eastwood poncho from the shots inside the car, which obviously they reused scenes from Back to the Future 3. What'd you think of the death of Clara and how it could affect everyone when they found out that the death of Clara and how it would affect everyone when they found out? I mean, JJ losing her grandma, going back to witness it. Marty sees a younger version of himself getting disintegrated, and apparently his atoms spread across the time continuum. Do you think that the performances really showed the emotional beats of this scene?
I got one word for you. Egon. We already saw her in this with her grandfather.
Okay. Oh, I got it. Her performance when she sees her grandfather Egon. Okay.
She didn't even know him, and then he died, and she gets to know him through the ghost or whatever. But it's just more of this rehashed bullshit.
Gotcha. How about you, Tim?
I don't know. I'm going to go the opposite. I mean, this is a Steven Spielberg movie. If anyone's going to know how to capture the emotion of a scene like this, let's face it, it's him. I mean, the fact that he waited to film this scene last, knowing that everybody involved would know it was not only the last shot of the production, but it's the last time they would all be together to make a Back to the Future movie. I mean, he took the melancholy atmosphere and used it to, draw out the best emotional reactions from the actors he could possibly get. And it pays off in space, man. I mean, you can see it. You can see it in their faces. You can see it in their performances. I mean, he hit it. I mean, he hit it hard, and he got a huge payday out of it.
Yeah. I have to agree with you. I think all the actors in this scene, they really acted their hearts out. It was a very riveting, emotional scene towards the end of this movie. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move a little further down our timeline. So, Marty and JJ need to fix the timeline. So Marty makes a quick choice to leap on the train, pull Clara out before his alternate self runs into the train. So they go back in time. They do a little bit of jiggery pokery with the time train, and they're able to exist simultaneously for a split second. And Marty's able to pull Clara out of the train, and then time, of course, resets. And we then return to 2025 with one last anomaly. JJ has a new memory of Doc Brown leaving behind one final message. Time isn't done with you yet, Marty. So I don't know. I felt like this movie was to kind of cap everything off. We're going to end the franchise, but there's all these little like subtle innuendos and subtle things where they might do something more. And I think again that's where the whole script and the writer's strike really kind of screwed with this movie. The wrap up seems like it's too easy. It does seem like another callback to when Doc saved Clara in Back to the Future 3, but just the fact that there's a message from Doc Brown, I don't know. It seems very patchworky. What did you think of that, Tim?
This is the final chapter of Back to Future. And it's an age-old problem. How do you end a beloved series in the most epic way possible? I'm not sure you can. You just have to write the best ending you can that will satisfy the fans and not make them absolutely hate what you've done. And going the safe route will ensure you're not burned at the stake for, wrecking a beloved franchise. And we've witnessed that far too many times. I mean, hell, I don't even mind that it sort of uses the same formula as Back to the Future 3. So I guess what I'm saying is that, I think I can live with it.
Gotcha. How about you, Joey? What do you think of the end where, they quickly save Clara, reset the timeline, and then there's like this cryptic message and it just kind of like ends, almost peters out?
Just more garbage.
More garbage.
What am I supposed to say? It's like it's like this movie should have never been made.
All right. Well, that kind of brings us to the end of the film. We kind of like fade to black, and that's about it. Get some cool sound or cool original theme songs, and then that's the end of the film. Final thoughts, Tim, on what you thought of Back to the Future 4?
Is it a perfect movie? No. But I never thought we were ever going to get another one of these films. And again, most of the time when a franchise waits, over 30 years to create a new film, they usually lose the overall feel of the original movies, and the actors have a hard time reconnecting with the characters. This movie, I don't think really suffered from that. Did it suffer a little bit probably from a poor script? Yes. Did they have some problems because the actors were so old they had to use a little CG that takes you out of it? Yeah, there's some of that too. But, it was, I still blame it mostly on the inability to alter the script, due to the writer's strike, that caused most of the problems that we see. And I think Spielberg did a great job with it. I mean, for what he had to work with, it was a stunning final performance, for the cast and characters, for Michael J. Fox, for Christopher Lloyd. I think I was happy to see them get to go on one more adventure together. And I've seen far worse. So I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied with where this movie ended and how they went about making it.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I do have to echo your sentiments as well. I mean, I like the movie from a nostalgic point of view. I like how they were able to infuse some of the classic elements. It did seem a little odd, the CGI stuff, because it didn't have that same glow as the classic feel of the movies. The other movies, because the other movies had more practical effects along with the early CGI effects, or early, science or FX stuff. But yeah, I thought this movie, I wanted more, honestly. But I'll dive more into that when we do our Death Clock. How about you, Joey? Any last thoughts on the movie before the Death Clock?
I feel like this is just trash written by AI, and I did find out though that they did have a deleted scene where JJ's father, Vern, does show up. It's a very brief part. I'm going to share my screen right now and show you guys. There, here we go. There's the dad.
All right,
and that's what I think of this movie.
Oh man!
But hey, JJ, we get to find out where JJ came from, right?
Did not need to see that, Joey. All right. Well, that brings us to our death clock. So, gentlemen, is it worth taking the 2 hours and 23 minutes off your death clock to see Back to the Future 4? And you know what? I think I'll go over to you first, Tim.
All right. Well, I'm going to say absolutely. In fact, I don't say this very often, but I felt like it was so good. It feels like you're not taking any time off your death clock at all. So, how about you, Matt? What did you think?
Like I said, I enjoyed it from the nostalgic point of view. Yeah, is there better movies out there? Yes. Should I take this time off my death clock to watch this movie? I'm going to say yes. I think it is. I mean, it could have been worse. They could have made, I don't know, Star Wars 9. Oh, wait. They did make a Star Wars 9, didn't they?
Did they, though? Did they?
How about you, Joey? Is this worth taking time off your death clock?
I think there's somebody out there who is in a hospital bed and they're, someone had the good nature to try to like put on some entertainment for them. And I think their algorithm is going to, because they like Back to the Future, is going to bring up this podcast. And I think that's the only person who's going to make it to the end because they can't change the content that they're listening to.
Well, that's been Back to the Future 4.
Thanks for listening to Middle Age Movie Reviews Podcast. We hope you've enjoyed our review of Back to the Future 4. Because, hey, who's the more foolish? The fooler or the fools who follow them? If you got that and you like what you heard, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Share it with your unsuspecting friends and family because, hey, everyone likes a good April Fool's joke.
Follow us on Facebook, X, Blue Sky, and Instagram. Have a comment or suggestion? Then email the show at mamreviewpodcast@gmail.com.
This wasn't a complete waste of time because, some pets get lonely at home and you can play this and they'll feel like they're not alone.